and welcome. I call this Hatha flow, and sometimes it's a slower flow, and sometimes it's a little bit more powerful, just depending on the needs of the room right now. I like to acknowledge. Whoops, I'm gonna just mute Michelle there. I'd like to acknowledge the land on which we gather is the unceded and traditional territories of the Indigenous people all across Canada here, and that our practice of yoga is also a borrowed practice from traditions of India. There's definitely modifications. There's definitely lots of mindful movement as well through our practice today. So as always, listen to your body and follow with your breath. So as we get started, I'm going to go sit down. We're going to start seated. And if you can't hear me at any point, I'm trying out this new using headphones while practicing. You can just kind of give me a wave. But last time it seemed to go okay. So as we sit, we'll begin with the eyes open or softened. And if you need anything to elevate your sit bones, you can roll a blanket, a towel, a cushion underneath you. And we arrive into our body. We arrive into the room, onto the mat or whatever you have underneath you. And we just start to become aware of this present moment. Last week, we made the focus of our practice perspective. And this I'm playing with, it's not really a dichotomy. I'm playing with the play between perspective and focus. So we were trying to zoom out and get an eagle's eye view last week. And this week, thinking about what guides us, how we can focus without getting hyper focused. Where is our compass? In Sanskrit, this is Dhāraṇā. It's one of the 8 limbs of yoga. And instead of thinking of it as burning a hole into the earth type of focus with the eyes, it's more of this constant checking back in with our values, our purpose, what drives us. Distraction is obviously inevitable. But Dhāraṇā teaches us to continue to focus on, keep the eyes on the prize. So we'll play with this during our practice a little bit. Without burning any holes in the wall with our eyes. Start to notice your breath. You might close your eyes or soften them a little bit more, whatever feels right to you. Notice the depth of the breath. Notice the rhythm. all without changing anything or any judgment, just feeling. In our yoga practice, the breath can become one of those objects of concentration, something to bring us back into the present moment. So as we breathe here, we just notice. Notice the effect of the breath on the body, where it reaches, what rises and falls. Even where it feels stuck, where it flows. And then slowly, you might keep the eyes softly closed or start to open them. We're going to bring some movement to our breath. While we inhale, we reach the arms up to the sides and up to the sky. Exhale, down through the center. And then again, do this 2 more times on your own breath, feeling that entire inhalation, that entire exhalation. And then at this last one, pause with the hands at the heart center, bow to yourself. Perhaps set your own intention for today's practice, while also setting the intention of meeting your body where it's at, moving within a pain-free range of motion, finding your edge, so no shooting sharp pains or breathlessness, dizziness, always knowing that rest, coming to any restful position at any time, is available to you. Going to interlace the fingers in front of the heart. As we exhale, press those palms out away from us, curl the back. Get a nice stretch through those shoulders, and inhale, reach up. And exhale, curl. We'll do 3 more of those, syncing that breath to movement again, feeling that drawing inwards on the exhale, pressing those hands out, and that lift on the inhalation. After this last one, release the hands, bring the arms down towards the sides, palms facing up, a T position. And breathe in here, feeling that opposition of forces from fingertip to fingertip, reaching outwards. And then that drawing everything back in, especially on the exhalation, drawing everything back to the center of the body. Next exhale, we're going to give ourselves a big hug, crossing right over left or vice versa, doesn't matter. Inhale, reach, open that chest. And now switch the position of the arms. Give yourself a hug on the exhale, and inhale, reach. And we'll keep doing that for 2 more full rounds of breath. And come back out. Now we'll bend the elbows to cactus arms. We're doing a similar movement here to get into the shoulders a little bit more, shoulders and upper back. As we exhale, we're drawing those elbows towards each other. As we inhale, we open. So during this practice, we keep coming back to these objects of focus, the breath, the sensations of the body, and perhaps even the question, why do I practice? Why am I here? Is it in line with my values? There are other movement goals. We'll do one more round of breath like this, starting to feel some fatigue in those muscles and giving it some deep breath as nourishment. Reach those arms out, reach them all the way up. And then exhale down through the center. Let's walk the fingertips out in front of us and just bow our heads. Anchor down the sit bones so that you feel that nice lengthening up the back line of the body. Let the head and the neck go. You can do a few rocks and rolls here. Starting to feel a little bit more awake through the upper body at least. Walk back to center. Hands come behind us onto the fingertips, rolling the shoulders back. And breathe into the front body here. Doesn't have to be a back bend, just a heart lift, a collarbone opener as the shoulder blades lift the heart from behind. Beautiful. Slowly, we're going to come over onto hands and knees and get set up here to get into more of our body. Let's wake up a little bit more. So hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and on your own breath, cats and cows. So on the inhalation, opening that front body, and on the exhalation, opening the back body. If you need to add any other movements that your body is craving, go for it. I cannot tell you the reasons why you do this practice, nor what feels good. So follow your breath, follow your body. Imagine you can get into every single vertebra, waking up those spots along the spine and the shoulder and the hips that need some attention. And then come back to center. We're going to rock back towards the heels to kind of a half child's pose and inhale back forward onto hands and knees. And again, just getting some movement here, making it feel sweet and fluid. And if you'd like to add a little bit more for the last 4 of those, you could even pick those knees up off the ground and sit those hips back and come forward. Following the breath still, feeling a little bit more load on the muscles and work in the core. Beautiful. And then after that last one, set those knees back down on the floor, come down onto the elbows. Let's wake up the hips. So right leg comes up behind us and we start to do circles here. So big, slow circles, seeing which part of the hip needs a little bit of love and attention here. through movement, through activation. One more in this direction, and then switch directions. If you need something under the knee, you can always double fold your mat or put a blanket there. So 2 more big circles in this direction, saying good morning, good afternoon to that right hip, and then release it down and go to the left. Left comes up, and we wake up this one. So even though I said I can't tell you why you do your practice, one of the main ones for me is really just to wake up those parts of the body that don't get a lot of attention. So unfortunately, that's going to be part of today's practice for you. But it's a pretty general one. Let's go the other direction. And then that feeling at the end where all the cells are awake. Release that knee all the way down and come into a child's pose, knees apart, toes together. Rest your head on something. So whether it's your fists stacked or your hands or all the way down to the earth, breathe into the back body and let go through the forehead, through the hips. Nice. Slowly, we're going to come back up to hands and knees, curl the toes under, and come into either a child's, a puppy pose, or a downward facing dog, whatever calls to you. This will be your home pose, and it can change too throughout the practice. But it's this place where you get that nice long spine, the extension through the arms, a relaxed head and neck, lots of mobility there. And depending which one you choose, get a little bit of extension through the back of the legs as well. Slowly start to walk the feet up towards a forward fold, however you can get there. Bend the knees as much as you need to, and let the body relax. You can always support yourself on blocks, on your thighs, on a chair. And then slowly press yourself all the way up to standing and reacquaint yourself with this upright position. Feel the feet in the earth, rooted. Take a moment to settle in here, feeling the change of energy. And as we inhale, we're going to reach all the way up. And as we exhale, we bend at the hips, maybe slightly at the knees, dive forward, either catching yourself on your thighs, on blocks, or all the way to the ground, forward fold, Uttanasana. And then as we inhale, come all the way back up. And do it 2 more times. Exhale, fold. This initiation of the standing part of our practice, being gentle and compassionate with our bodies. This time, stay down in your forward fold, and then coming on to shins or thighs with the hands, press the heart forward, open it up, and exhale, fold. Mine literally cracked right there in the back of my heart. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, press that heart up. Exhale, fold. And last one. And fingertips to the earth. We'll step back with the left leg. If you have blocks or something to bring the floor closer to you, go for it. That left knee is going to come down onto the earth. And we're going to press ourselves up on that front thigh. So something underneath that left knee if it needs a little bit more. And now we'll just come into a little bit of activation of the inner thighs and the muscles required to hold this, which is actually quite complex. Let's inhale, scissor those legs towards each other, coming out of the pose. Exhale, let the hips melt. Inhale together, exhale, melt. You can always use blocks under the hands as well. One more time. Inhale, legs scissor towards each other. Exhale, they melt. And then we're going to lean into that left hand. And with that right arm, make 3 big circles in each direction. Kind of the same thing we did with our hip, exploring this much more mobile joint, but sometimes a little more unstable. Come back to center and step back either to hands and knees or to plank pose and tune into that core. So every inhalation, we're pressing out through the extremities, the top of the head, the fingertips, the toes. Every exhalation, everything draws into that center line. So whether this is on elbows, on knees, on hands or feet, the same dynamic is happening. We'll drop the knees down, and then 4 times, we're bringing the hips all the way back. Instead of coming straight forward, we're going to keep the nose close to the earth, bend the elbows out to the sides, do what I call shoulder flow, coming up, nose towards the thumbs, pressing back up to hands and knees. And again, curling back on the exhale. Inhale, sweep that nose forward, press up. 2 more of those. Keep the hips nice and high. Feel like the arm bones are getting to nestle into the shoulder sockets as you come forward. Awakening the back of the heart. And then we'll come all the way down on the earth. Wiggle it out a little bit. Elbows under the shoulders for Sphinx pose. They can be as far forward as you need to without feeling any compression in any part of the spine. On your next exhale, just let everything drop towards the earth. Let the head dangle. Feel the earthiness through the pubic bone, through the thighs, through the tops of the feet. And then 3 times we're going to inhale, draw the heart forward, almost as if you're pulling your torso away from that lower body. And exhale, release again. Inhale, extend as if we could increase the spaces between the vertebrae. Exhale, release. And one last time. And release all the way down. Hands get set. And we come up into either our child's pose, puppy pose, which is hips above the knees, arms outstretched, or downward facing dog. And we reset. It's usually at the periods of either longer holds, pauses, or more difficult, challenging poses where we start to lose our focus and get distracted, and that's okay. The practice is coming back to the breath, back to the body, back to your why. Either from down dog or from hands and knees, left foot will step between the hands. Right knee comes down. And press ourselves up onto that left thigh. Or have blocks under the fingers. As we inhale, we squeeze those legs towards each other. As we exhale, we shift forward. So 3 more of those. Being gentle, slowly warming up. And then after that last one, right hand will come to the floor. We lean onto it and sweep 3 big circles with that left arm. Exploring the motion in that shoulder. And then other direction. And back to center. Coming up on those back toes, 1, 2, or many steps to the front of the mat, forward fold, Uttanasana, releasing here. And we'll bend the knees nice and deep. Lots of weight on the heels. Peel the heart up off the thighs. And then reach those arms out wide. Exhale, hug yourself, and bend deeper. So getting a nice stretch to the back of the shoulders here. Bend a little bit deeper into the heels. Inhale, reach out again. Exhale, cross the opposite arm on top. Hug again, get deep. Uttanasana chair pose for one more full round of breath. And then inhale all the way up to standing and fold. Hands to shins or thighs. Look up, lengthen, and fold. Fingertips to the earth or blocks. Right leg steps back this time. This time, if you'd like, you can keep that right knee off the earth in a runner's lunge to begin with. Just checking in with the pose first. Feeling that shape in your body. Left knee above the left ankle. Back leg is powerful. And the torso is as long as the torso can get. So that's why sometimes having those blocks under the hands can really help, or anything to bring the floor closer. And now we're going to spin that right heel down and come all the way up into a warrior 2. So heel to heel or heel to arch stance. Reach those arms out nice and wide. Bend through that front knee. Power up that back leg and gaze towards the left fingertips. Take a couple deep breaths here with that soft focus. Feeling that dynamic of breath in the body. And then we're going to come into what I call my seaweed arms. Slightly bending the elbow, externally rotate one arm, internally the other. We'll reach forward and then switch, reaching back. Finding this rotational flow in the shoulders and getting your waist, your ribs, your hips involved. Lower body is stable, secure. You're grounding. Upper body can flow freely. One more in each direction. And then we come back to center and release the hands all the way down. Come up on those back toes and step back to hands and knees or plank position. Check in with the breath. Check in with that center line of the body. And then this time, come all the way down to the earth. You can stay with Sphinx pose, elbows under the shoulders, arms are parallel, hands are flat on the earth, just like a downward dog hand. Or you can spin those hands out diagonally a little bit and start to straighten the arms for seal. Rolling the shoulders down the back, keeping the collarbones wide, and continuing that slight drawing forward to extend up and out of the pelvis, as opposed to compressing any one part. In either of these poses, look over the right shoulder towards the right heel, and then to the left, and the right again, and the left. And then come all the way down. Give the hips a wiggle. And back to your reset pose. The home of down dog, of child's, of puppy. Checking in. Right leg will step forward, whether from hands and knees or from down dog. And we come to that runner's lunge again on the right side. So the right knee is right above that right ankle. That back leg is strong and powerful. The torso is long, the jaw unclenched, the area between the eyebrows soft. And we feel this shape. We'll spin that back heel down and come all the way up into our Virabhadrasana 2. Right knee over the right ankle, back leg powerful from the hip all the way out through the outer foot. Reach those arms out and gaze towards those right fingertips. The ultimate in focus poses, where we can practice the soft focus, softening the area between the eyebrows again. Finding that strength with the softness. And then we'll bend the arms slightly, externally rotate one, internally rotate the other, and start to flow. So we alternate rotating the arm in the shoulder socket, your range of motion. Maybe we get the waist involved, moving the ribs, keeping those legs stable. One more time in each direction. And then back to center, reach out. And release the hands down. Spin onto the back toes. And 1, 2, or many steps forward into a forward fold. Again, bending the knees as much as you need, letting the head and neck go, supporting yourself as needed. Bend the knees nice and deep again. Peel the abdomen off the thighs into chair pose, Uttanasana. This time, I invite you to try, if you'd like, taking the hands behind the back of the head, elbows forward, pressing the head into the hands, getting a nice stretch through the triceps here. You could press more, lifting that heart up towards the sky. Lots of weight in the heels. Bottom ribs are drawing down towards the pelvis to protect that low back. For 3, 2, 1. Inhale all the way up, reach nice and tall. Exhale into Tadasana, mountain pose for a moment. And just feel the change of energy in the body. Beautiful. So we'll do a little bit of standing and balancing. If you have a wall nearby or a chair nearby, It might be nice for security. And just like we were getting into those hips at the beginning, we're going to see if we can activate those glutes and all of the supporting muscles of the hip here before we try some other balancing. So finding parallel feet underneath the hips here. Find your grounding, feel the roots, and we'll start by shifting into that left foot and picking up the right. The right foot's going to just very slightly cross in front of the left. You could have the toes on the floor. You could stay at any stage of this, hands on the hips, hands holding something, and then slowly start to drag that heel upwards so that you're kind of in this one-legged balancing. And then keeping that knee high, we're going to try to bring it out to the side and then to the back, keeping it as high as we can. And all the way back. So we're almost making a hip circle again. Don't worry, we'll get another chance to try this. Bring it all the way back down and release. Take a moment to feel the effects. And we'll go to the other side. So shifting onto the right foot, picking up that left heel, crossing that foot over the right, maybe staying here, maybe starting to drag that heel upwards, left knee out to the left. And now keeping that knee up, bringing it to the side, hearing the clicks and cricks, coming to the back, holding on to something for balance if needed, coming back out to the side and around, and then all the way back down. So we got the gist of it. Let's go back to doing it with the right leg, planting down into the left, crossing the right foot over the left, coming all the way up, out to the side, back around. And if you'd like to come with me, we'll do it twice. Coming back around again. And to the front, releasing all the way down. Taking a moment there. And then left heel comes off the ground, crosses over the right. Inhale, draw it up. And then coming around to the back. Back around to the front. Like those slow hip circles. And I invite you, if you'd like, to do it one more time. And all the way down. Stand here in Tadasana, mountain pose. Again, noticing the effects on the body. All right, we'll come into a Natarajasana, a variation. So not the dancers that we all know with the big back bend, but this one is using that glute strength that we just activated. You're gonna come up onto those right toes, cross the right toes over the left foot. You can stay here or choose to hold it up here. Put a little bend in that left knee. This might be where you stay. If you'd like to add the arms, we can bring the left hand in front of the heart and the right hand out to the side. Using a mudra with the fingers, either taking the index and the thumb together, or the middle finger and the thumb. Maybe both arms come out to the side for the last 3, 2, One, and then release everything down and shake it out a little. One more leg to do. Up onto that left foot, cross it over the right, stay there, or draw that knee upwards. Right hand near the heart center, left arm out. Bend in that right knee. And feel that pause in the dance of life, maybe reaching up with the other arm. And then slowly returning to center. Notice the heart. You can put a hand on the heart, a hand on the abdomen. And we'll come down towards the earth. There's nothing like a good balance pose to really challenge the focus and that play between hard focus, gritting teeth focus, and that soaring perspective. Let's inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Ardha Uttanasana, look up halfway, lengthen, and then hands to the earth. Come down onto the knees. Knees apart, toes together. Child's pose or puppy pose or whatever feels right here as a grounding. Make sure you've got some pressure in the center of the forehead, around the third eye point. And for a moment, just let everything go. Let go of that focus. Let it melt out through that point that's in contact with your hands, your fists, or the earth. And then slowly press yourself up and come to seated. If you have a belt or strap or something long to use, you can have that beside you, but not necessary. We'll wiggle the flesh of the buttocks away from the sit bones. And if you need to, you can always prop your hips up again on something. Let's bend the left knee, open the left knee to the left foot to the inner right thigh, Janu Shirshasana, with or without a belt. Get nice and tall. You might just stay here, either fingertips supporting you at the back or with a belt or strap, rolling the shoulders back. And then eventually an exhale might take you forward as you bow over that right leg. We breathe into the back of that right leg, the back line of the body, from the heel all the way up, even past the hip into the lower back. We feel the anchoring of that left hip, that left leg, and the stretch through the lateral body that we get through that side. And then all the way back up. We'll bring that right leg out to the right a little more, left heel in towards the pelvis, and tracing a line with the elbow down that right leg as far as it'll go. We can start to open up the body to the side, finding that stretch through the side of the left body. Hand can stay at the hip, can come behind the back of the head and neck to support. or it can come all the way up and over. Every inhalation opens up that armpit to the sky a little bit more if the arm is up. Every exhale integrates that space into the body. Inhale all the way up. We'll place that left hand by the left hip and we'll be pressing up onto that left knee, pressing the hips forward, keeping that right foot grounded as we extend up into a modified side plank. And we'll just come down and flow through that for 3 times. Inhaling, pressing up. Exhaling, coming down. And this last one, we'll hold that modified side plank, just feeling the length through the right side of the body. And all the way back down. Reach the left leg out in front of you. Bend the right knee, bring the right foot to the inner left thigh. And here we are again. Janushirshasana, head to knee pose on the left side. You can stay with the fingertips behind you, finding a tall spine. You can take hold of a belt, or on an exhalation, you can start to draw yourself forward. Coming back to the breath over and over again. And then an inhalation brings you all the way up and out of that. We'll bring that left leg out to the left, right heel in towards the pelvis. Go for a Parivrtta Janu. So bringing that left elbow down along the left leg, opening the collarbones up, keeping the right hand on the hip or behind the back of the head or reaching up and over. Let that right hip be the anchor here, a place where you can hold that elastic band down and then stretch up and away from that point. Now inhale all the way back up. Take the right hand on the earth, and an inhalation helps you come up onto that right knee. Press the hips forward and come back down. You can use the arm too to sweep up and over and back down again. And then last one, we'll hold that modified side plank, focusing on the length from the fingertips out through the outer edge of that left foot. And then all the way back down again. You can take those legs out in front, give them a shake, and we'll come down onto our backs. So have anything that you might need later on or in a few moments when we do get to final relaxation, anything you might need, so a blanket or a bolster beside you. And we'll make our way down towards our backs. Take a moment here to settle in to this new position. Take time to reacquaint yourself with the floor. Your feet may come out to about mat distance Knees falling in towards each other in repose, allowing the pelvis to settle. Feel that breath through the body. Soothing, reassuring your body that it's safe. Everything will be okay. We're going to just come into a number 4 pose here. So crossing the left ankle over the right thigh, opening that left knee to the left. You can either stay here, take a moment to even out both sides of the pelvis on the earth. And this might be where you stay. Or you can very mindfully bring that right leg towards you. Keeping in mind to keep breathing into both sides of the waist. Keep pressing that left knee to the left. We'll release that right foot to the floor, but keep the legs as is. Draw those elbows in close towards you. Come into a robot arm. And then pressing into the backs of the shoulders, the backs of the upper arms, and the back of the head and the right foot. We're going to lift those hips up off the floor here. Just a little bit of activation after that stretch. And then come all the way back down. Release the leg and cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Open that right knee up. Number 4 pose on this side. So wiggle a little bit. Make sure you find a semblance of evenness through the right and left side of the pelvis. And either stay there or mindfully bring that left leg towards you while trying to keep both sides of the waist as long as possible. We notice the differences between our sides without judgment, without stories. And we just meet the body where it's at with every passing breath. Release that left foot to the floor, keeping the legs as is. Hug those elbows in towards you, robot arms, and then press the hips up to the sky. Modified bridge here. And then come all the way down. Uncross the legs now. And this time we'll come into a Setu Bandhasana, a bridge pose. Keep those robot arms, press into the backs of the shoulders, the backs of the upper arms, the feet and the back of the head as you lift those hips up off the ground. Imagine 2 strings at either corner of your pelvis, lifting them up evenly, smoothly. You could always extend the arms along the floor or even interlace the fingers behind the buttocks, rolling deeper onto the backs of the shoulders if needed. And then slowly release those hips down. Take the knees into the hands, keep the arms outstretched so the pelvis remains on the earth, and we rock side to side here. Feet back down to the earth. And come into an easy twist. So whatever calls to you, But for an open twist, we'll keep the feet about hip distance or wider, pick the hips up, shift them to the left, let the knees fall to the right. They may even fall on something that's nearby to support them. You could always take the arms up overhead or to the sides. And take a moment there. And knees come back up through center. Maybe we lift the hips, shift them to the right as the knees fall to the left. And again, you can experiment with how close you want those knees in, which part of the body you need that twist the most. And then back up to center. Bring the hips back to center. If there's anything else that needs to move through your body, go for it. So options might be happy baby, another twist, another hug. Otherwise, you can get yourself set up for our final relaxation, either a bolster under the knees, a blanket. We might be on our sides in a fetal position, or even seated in meditation. Whatever best matches your energy at this point. And once you arrive, you start to settle. You notice the breath again. You notice the sensations through the body. And you start to drop in. Practice that I've been doing through meditation at the very end that I offer to you is for a few moments completely letting go of all these points of focus as well. And playing with that. Between focusing and letting go, there's probably a point somewhere in the middle there, where we can play a little soft focus, effortless effort. Slowly, you can start to bring yourself out of your relaxation. Make your way up to seated. Take a moment to thank yourself for your practice. And I thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you can keep your eyes on the prize through the challenging times, through the boring times, through the pauses, and keep following your values, your whys. Thank you so much. The light in me bows to the light in you.